What's good? Give everybody a second to get in here. We're going to go over that loss that I took on ES this morning and then go over just general price action. Go ahead and mark this up a little bit better because I added stuff afterwards. Basically, the initial reasoning behind it, whenever obviously we've been pretty bullish, so the short would just have been to these equal lows here. But when I had this range, we'll replay it a little bit to closer to this morning when we got in the trade. So we had this. Let me take these prices off. We had this range that we had developed here. Now, I could have been a little bit more liberal with this and drawn it even down here. Regardless, I didn't think that we were going to move back like this. This is the wrong candle, the wrong line. But I didn't think we were going to make a move this far. So I was trying to be a little bit conservative with that and just draw this recent range because if you look, we had this range, price came up, made a higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So I saw this as a pretty clean target in a discount and nice triple equal lows, also the previous daily low. And whenever I came to the market this morning, I saw this shift right here where we came down, we gapped through the low. So we had that 1 hour gap and price had came into it early in the morning. So another thing I was looking at was this accumulation right after midnight. So I was looking at that as a potential AMD, and it moved into the higher time frame POI. So I was looking at this as a potential little manipulation price cycle right here. And whenever I looked, I saw there was these relatively equal highs that kind of, I was looking at it like, maybe I don't want to take that. And then I was like, well, I mean, we took the high. That's what you look for, what I usually would look for in this scenario. After price taps into a POI, we get a liquidity raid and then that displacement break of structure. So to me, that was enough displacement right there. It left a nice gap. Price already traveled into that gap at the time of the trade. And then whenever I looked before we got in the trade, play it another couple bars. Right here is where we entered, or on this candle, I should say. And I looked at it like price had get the first 5 minute break of structure, second 5 minute break of structure, and was returning up into this gap. And after we had that nice 1 minute push to the downside right here, I was looking at that as, okay, well, the 1 hours is now given a market structure shift. We were in that daily imbalance at a equilibrium of the daily range. So we got the shift with the gap. Price had filled the gap. Had this nice little accumulation right after midnight, pushed up in. Ideally, we would have wanted that to be the high of the day, but we came up and took that high in the New York session, which that was, as far as power of three goes, you don't usually want that to happen. But price came back up there, took that high, and then immediately rushed away from it. So I wasn't looking for it to be, a massive, crazy sell-off, but I saw this pretty clean target right here, which was the previous daily low, and just equal lows, first liquidity in a discount, other than this fair value gap fill. Obviously, there's that, but I was just looking at it as the first set of where stop losses would be. And I was also kind of looking at the narrative that where everything pumped up yesterday, a lot of people would be trying to buy because they're looking at it as the market's going to continue. And there was news that came out at 10. So when I'm looking back and I'm trying to okay, and how could you have avoided that? To be honest, I like the price action. But when I look at it, I probably could have just waited till after the news. That was probably the mistake there because I knew the news was coming. But, to be honest, I usually won't signal a trade when there's news, but I do take certain trades. Like, for instance, I think it was NQ. I took a trade down here right before the PMI came out. Very quick trade. That was my Monday, my entire day right there. And worked out very nicely. And I was glad that I did that, because a lot of times I'll be hesitant to trust my analysis whenever we have something like that going on. But in this instance, I did what I knew I was supposed to do, took the trade, and this was a different model, of course, but I took the trade, worked out nicely. But today seems like that did not happen, obviously. So recapping it, really the main thing that I could have just waited for is that new home sales, because as soon as the new home sales came back better than expected, the market's going to push after that. So that was on me, but I did want to recap that with you guys and just go over it, so that way we all learn from it. But and also to the people that are just on YouTube, I want to be transparent. It's not all wins. Definitely take losses, all the time. It's part of the game, and it sucks. But like for a second, I was kind of irritated, but then I was like, just another transaction. It's still a profitable week so far, so no worries. But I did want to review that with you guys. So if you guys have any questions on that, feel free to shoot them off. But overall now, obviously, we see the market rallied off that news. We have came above this previous daily high. So I'm not really going to force anything in the PM session. If anything, it would be probably a sell, but there's not a framework for that yet. And the reason for that is I see this imbalance right here. If I mark this, my OCD makes me mark it the right color. We look at this little impulse move in the morning. You could, take this down right into a discount. You could even maybe try to refine it to this right here. To be honest, what I'd probably do here is just look at equilibrium. So just take a line, extend it out there. And the reason I would look for a short over a long, which we could definitely continue to rally. I'm not saying we won't. But I see us as above the previous daily high. Now whenever I look at this 1 hour range, we've now taken the external. So I'm not going to create this. That's not a new range to me. So I would just draw it like this. And then now, the low hanging fruit would be up here, but we do have some liquidity in the form of equal lows, relatively equal, right above this discount pricing. There it is. I was wondering where my editing bar was. So I'll put SSL, and I swear I get DMs where people like, that's not the sell side liquidity, it's down here. Like, I promise I know, but I just mark that as it's internal sell side liquidity. There's sell stops there. So just for those, because I swear I get like, actually this is, and I'm like, bro, I know. I feel like I don't feel like I have COVID or anything, but I feel sick after this last weekend. But so that's kind of where we're at right now for me. Now looking back, now that I see it from a different view, I could also see where there was a long opportunity, and it was basically after our short, it almost got stopped. I'm gonna take that out, and I can remark this later. But what I see now is, and I probably wouldn't have taken it, but in hindsight, again, everything's 2020. It's always good to look at it, and these were relatively equal, although one did get taken, and then we had that break. So to me, I usually look at that like the liquidity's been taken, especially what's in that gap. But when we look at the 15-minute, there was a pretty nice part of this gap that was unfilled right above those highs. And then we look at the 5-minute at the open. I don't ever close a trade until if I get in a trade, I manage my risk pretty well. So if I take a loss, it's not going to kill me. So it's just a big rule of mine that I don't cut a trade, in a loss, or now maybe if it's, goes really far negative, comes back down to break even, I might cut it there, if I see something, but I'm not just going to cut something because it's getting near the stop loss. But looking back, there's that shift right here at the open. There wasn't really a raid that this was off of it, after the hours that we trade, in my opinion. But we have that price returning back down to this fair value gap, and then it came back up to this equal highs and this target and the previous daily high. Now, I can't say I would have really taken that. I even saw, it's funny, I saw ICT, it said something like, today is seek and destroy day, don't trade. It's like after I was in a trade. I was like, oh, that's great. But I really try not to let anything influence me anyways, but it was just kind of comical because it was like right as the trade got stopped out when I saw it. Um, oh damn, Mitchell said he was long at the bottom of Asia, should have held. Yeah, that would have been some nice tendies. And yes, this is another one. This is something else. You beat me to it. There was a bullish divergence on NQ and ES this morning that I could have also looked at and not maybe not taken the short. But I mean, to be honest, in hindsight, I can say that. But whenever I look here, we made that lower low with ES and really all the way up here. I'm just only the 1 hour. We had made that lower low down here and down here, right? And then this was really after the trade had what's it called? We'd been in the trade at that point. And then there was not that occurrence. We did not make a lower low. So there was that SMT there. So that's a good eye. But that was something else. I didn't notice that till after. Always like marking stuff up afterwards, even if I'm not trading it, just so I can go back and journal it. Because I've been trying to get better at the end of each week, go back and I'm really bad about just cleaning my charts off just because I don't like having a bunch of markings. But it's good to leave at least some stuff or maybe hide it like I was doing before. Now, another thing that I will tell you right now that I see is potential SMT again with ES. We have that lower high there, and then we have a higher high here. So again, that would kind of add to that potential short narrative. Now, specifically what I'd be looking for is my PM, the same PM model that we always try to use, which is that liquidity rate after 130. So go ahead and draw a line. I've been doing this a little bit more often lately. But wait for a potential 5-minute raid, like any of these highs getting taken, and then look for that 1 minute market structure shift. So that's kind of what I'm going to watch for in the PM. If I don't get that, then no love lost, whatever, on to the next. Won't really be a problem. Move these over a little bit. They're kind of far over. Yeah, I actually like that setup because we took the previous daily high SMT. We're deep in a premium of our 1 hour range. The daily draw that I had, which was down here, has been met. So, depending on how this day closes, I think we'll maybe have a little bit of beginning clarity towards something. Because as of right now, using the 1 hour market structure shift like I did, that was to really just not really call a reversal by any means. You guys said that the target was just here, but that was to kind of say, okay, well, we're starting to pull back just a tad. As far as the daily goes, until we form a swing high and look like we're drawing down towards something, then I wouldn't look for that. Now, if we do, I kind of like this volume imbalance here. If we draw this whole zone right here, it's right around equilibrium of where we're at right here. So if we start to reverse, maybe form a swing high, I don't know. I think there's some more earnings tomorrow. I know there's some more. I think Apple is tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. But if we have some kind of volatility from that and price wants to seek down, that's what we're looking at. Otherwise, the next targets that we really have, there's buy side liquidity up here. And then we have this massive imbalance. So, and again, we're at that point where we're right at equilibrium. So we might see some kind of indecisiveness, people getting cleaned out, kind of like I did this morning. And just kind of got to let the market breathe a little bit. I said long the Hong Kong tech. Which one's HK Tech? Is it the not 50? I don't ever trade this, so if you could give me a ticker, I know, or is it 50? I don't know. So that's the only one I know. HK Tech, I don't know if that's going to be the same one. You could give me a ticker, we'll take a look at it, but I don't know what to look up except HK50. Rick said, "Hey Casper, I watched a PO3 play out this watched a PO3 play out this morning on Bitcoin and bitched out on the entry on the M1 FVG as the FVG was very wide and to enter at the first touch with a stop at the low RR wasn't very good." And that's okay. Like, you're gonna have that happen sometimes where price action doesn't really give you what you're looking for, so to speak. So not sure exactly where you're looking at. You said this morning, so maybe something like this over here. I'm assuming you're talking about this. If so, I mean, I would say the real target at that point. I mean, I wouldn't beat yourself up too much for not taking that, just because you're kind of up in this no man's land where, yeah, you could have longed, I guess, up into this high would have been the only like logical target. But if we look, well, I guess it's not going to draw it on the minutes. That would have been right here. You might have had good enough RR, to be honest. So it would have been something like that. But even, well, actually, no, it did take a nice little swing high right there. Oh, you put a picture in crypto chat. Let me see. Yeah, this is that same thing. Let's look at your chart. Yeah, I mean, whenever you're in a range like this, I would have probably targeted this high just because, that's anyone sorting in this range. There's probably going to be some stops here, but there's also probably going to be more stops there. And I mean, to be honest, 2R isn't bad. I mean, maybe that's why I'm looking at it and saying that I don't think it's too low. 2R to me is fine. I feel like this is more than 2. No, actually, it's probably not. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, to me, that wouldn't be not good enough for me. I think that'd be a great trade. But, I can understand maybe you don't want to take a 2R, or especially whenever you're kind of getting used to those kind of trade models. But nonetheless, you're learning from it and you're seeing how it looks. Let me go through some of these questions. What would I do in a situation in the future? Would I suggest 0.5? You could, but you would have got missed on this one. So you definitely can do that, but there's always trade-offs. So like, for instance, if you are trying to go for equilibrium, you're probably going to have a higher risk to reward, but you're also going to have more missed trade opportunities, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you have to kind of evaluate which one of those works better for you. Some people really hate missing trades, or they maybe they hate low RR. It's just really kind of whatever your strategy is. So would the manipulation box on the short consider the accumulation box on the potential long? Yeah, okay, that's another thing with ES. That was another perspective I looked at. It was just the times is why I didn't look at it like that, because afterwards I saw like, okay, this might be accumulation and then manipulation, and then that's what it was. But really, for me, whenever I was looking at it for the times, I wanted to see accumulation after midnight. That's where I usually look for it. But I can see what you're saying. Afterwards, I looked at it and I was like, oh, you should have seen it. But again, it's really easy to go in hindsight and kind of like beat yourself up or something. But everybody sees everything in hindsight. I always ask myself, like, okay, but like, honestly, would you have, could you have expected to look at it like that? And when I look at this, I'm kind of like, I wouldn't have looked at it like that. in hindsight, I can go draw that and, see it. But, I look for what happens usually at around midnight, especially like you know, after we have that push up, because we look for, small range, which is exactly what I have right here, and then a manipulation swing first, which we didn't really get. And you're not always going to get that every day, or even when you get it, it doesn't work, or you may, do it wrong. So kind of just take it on the chin. Honestly, didn't expect it to go for far as that first high was targeted. So it was like 1-to-1 on the Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, and that's the thing I was saying. It's like, where Bitcoin is at, it's not really like the craziest long opportunity. Like, for instance, is a great example of hindsight. I can go back and say, oh yeah, this is good right here. But would I have taken it? Probably not. I probably wouldn't even have been looking for a long here on Bitcoin. I alerted this morning to Bitcoin or about crypto that, if you want to take some gains off of the CRV trade we're in, or, and Glacier is saying to take maybe some gains off ETH. I think that we're all kind of looking at crypto as it's at that pivotal point where it might want to, reverse. So speaking of ETH, we'll go into this. I think ETH could, if anything, I almost see, and I saw even RecProof posted about this, but potential little accumulation, manipulation, distribution on ETH here down to like these equal lows, or even really the major low. But, that's not really confirmed yet at all. What I would want there is a 1 hour shift to the downside. But when I look, I see a potential 3 drive right into this imbalance, and there's a weekly order block right there. So I'm kind of like, you know what I mean? Like I could see potential sells soon. I really think it's going to have a lot to do with the way that the stock market moves. But I am watching ETH specifically for a displacement break of structure to the downside to start showing the market structure shifting, and then begin to maybe get into some swings there. But that is something else I am watching. I didn't realize we had hit the weekly order block on ETH. So actually, for now, I'll just set an alarm. I'll have to move this around. But, again, nothing yet. May not even get it this week. We'll see. Now, one thing I am looking at is on indices. Let me go to a different chart. It's marked up. On indices, when I look at this weekly chart, we filled this imbalance. And, who knows, we might, I don't know if we're just going to take a crazy dump from here. But when I look at the weekly open, I see us as we're kind of moving up away from it early in the week, and potential little 3 drive up. And if these earnings do come out bad, we've moved up into a daily POI. We could get a little bit of a weekly power of 3 here. So, that would look something like this. And however long this takes. This is all speculation. I'm just sharing with you guys something that I kind of, caught my eye. But, we could get that weekly power of 3 because we have that weekly open, right? Price kind of chills around. You want to see a move opposite of the overall intention, and then a high put in on Tuesday or Wednesday. Usually you want to see the high put in Wednesday morning, at the latest. Indices kind of can be a little different than Forex sometimes, but definitely a possibility. Now I wouldn't really necessarily confirm that until the 1 hour starts to shift down. And I wouldn't necessarily try to catch the entire crazy move, but that is something else that I am kind of getting an eye for. Would be nice if we'd even take this high one more time or something along those lines. Now, one thing I've looked at too is the Dow. I mean, it is like this shit has been flying, and if I'm not mistaken, weren't Boeing's earnings? Isn't Boeing, Hunter? You're in here, yeah, you are. Hunter, isn't Boeing a pretty big part of the Dow? Like one of the bigger companies? Unless I'm insane. Not sure if you can hear me or not, but I know their earnings came out pretty rough. We're in, definitely a premium of both the weekly and the daily range. Not to say it won't go any higher, but if this starts to turn around, I would look for maybe some swings on the Dow because I don't really trade it, but I would have a pretty wide stop. And if we get that, I'm not saying we're there yet, but seems like price wants this volume imbalance right here, which is kind of, I don't know actually if I'd look at it like this because, we have this order block. I mean, yeah, there's no gap there. Never mind. I was looking at it like there was still part of the gap, and I was going to look at it as a BPR, but we also have buy side up here. With a nice order block. I kind of like that. That would be even cleaner if we could get something like that. I have to change text on it. So if we could get up there, which I'm going to send an alert for this, that would be provide some potential shorts if we could get up there and start to shift structure. But the Dow is definitely the highest up, has very clean equal lows down here. Would be pretty insane to catch some swings on that. There's also, I swear, I went over an XMR setup with you guys not that long ago, and I came back and my chart just like wasn't there, and I was kind of like, damn. But what I was looking at is if we can get back above like this high, I might look for swing shorts on XMR too. So it's kind of a sloppier one, but when I look at this, I see a potential market maker sell model. Have this little consolidation down here, that expansion, and then we finally get that smart money reversal right there. And then we got that second leg of distribution right here. We could mark it even down here. But we have all these highs right here kind of front running the rest of this imbalance in this order block. So, if we could get a pushback above that, I think that would provide potential sells, down all the way down to the sell side. Now this is a work in progress too. We could get like an accumulation, manipulation, distribution here as well. So that's another setup that I am watching for. Got a nice order block right here. I need to make a template for. So anywhere really in this range here would be ideal. And I'll see how that plays out, but I like this setup a lot. This is something else I'm going to be watching for, and I would look to swing this. I'd like to just get in some crypto swings because I just don't watch it intraday as much. I really just focus on trading indices, but I definitely want to get my crypto exposure up a little bit more, especially for you guys, because I know a lot of people don't trade indices for whatever reason. But let's see what this says. Thanks, man. I've learned a bunch since I've been here. You've really been a massive help. Fuck yeah, man. I love seeing shit like that. And really, I'm doing half the work or less than half the work. You're the one putting in the time and having the ambition to stick with it, because it's not easy to, especially when you're learning, it's not easy to stay focused and to overcome all of the, annoyances and stress that comes with trying to learn trading, especially if you're trying to do it to make money right away, which I think will hinder success. But give yourself credit. I appreciate the kind words, but make sure to also thank yourself. What's up, Zero? Sweep out the early shorts. I think you're talking about. Sorry, I'm kind of late on these, like 5 minutes ago. So maybe you're talking about ES. That would be nice if you're talking about like the power of three thing. That's kind of the idea of it, is to not only sweep out early shorts, but to induce buyers. I wish the trade view would get it to where I'm so OCD, like that little, like that right there. I can't do it. I have to fix it immediately. I'm going to delete some of this TA because I don't need all of it. Keep that to recap that with you guys. Any tips on identifying accumulation? Sometimes I feel like anything can be labeled as such if you keep making a bigger box. Yeah, definitely. So really what you want to build it around your narrative. So the example we gave yesterday here, which we had that midnight. I'm not going to label them all, but we had midnight, 8:30, 9:30. So here, our bias was to move up. We talked about this imbalance. We knew we were looking to move up. So you had a little bit more of a clear bias than today. So you had this little move, and this is what I was seeing today, to be honest with you. But you had this nice accumulation here, right? And then you had that false swing. And this morning you had an upswing at this time. So that's kind of why I was looking for that to happen. I mean, in all honesty, I looked at this the same exact way looked at that the same exact way I look at this. But you had that manipulation and then that nice move after 8:30, which is the same thing we had this morning. It just kind of didn't work out for me. And that's why I'm not really too upset about it, is because I know that if I traveled back in time, I would take the trade again. And it's just kind of a loss. It just happens. But this was a really clean example. And the reason this was probably a little bit easier to see was that it was, we had a clear daily bias. And I think that today, and that's another thing, as I say that, I kind of realized today that could be looked at as another mistake that I made, was the daily bias isn't very clear. You're at equilibrium. You've met the target. So like, let the market give you another one, so to speak. Now we do have other confluences that, like the weekly power of three being potentially, reversing this and that. We're above the previous daily high. We've got that SMT. So, there are other confluences now, but in the morning, I think it was a little bit foggier, and I was just going off the market structure above the imbalance. And this gap was what I really liked, but that could be, looking back, could be another thing. Any experience using NinjaTrader? I've spent some time looking for a position sizing tool for it, but I guess using ticks would work as well. I've never used it. I kind of like the way it looks, so I've seen videos and people are using it and stuff. I would recommend, just if you're trading indices, just kind of like learn you're going to be much more nimble and able to do things quickly if you just learn the amount of ticks. Like for me, it's really easy because my Forex funds has a contract size of 1. So every one lot, I'm risking $1 per dollar that the index moves. So like if I have a $10 stop loss and I put 100 lot, that's $1,000 at risk. So it's really easy for me to remember that. But I know it can get a little difficult if you're trading actual futures, like on the CME. Josh said, I've been learning fibs, support and resistance, all this other shit for months. Literally April, still struggling, but the smart money concepts is definitely more in my style of trading. Only been in here a week, but loving it. Yeah, for sure, man. And I think that's kind of the journey everybody goes on, because a lot of the stuff that gets put out on the internet it's meant to be sold to people. So it's really, really simplified. And, the people that are teaching it don't really care if the people make money or are successful. They're just kind of spewing out things that they've been taught. And most of the time, those kind of people aren't even really trading or making money. Or if they are, they just have extremely large accounts and they're kind of degenning into trades and they don't really have much precision. while I'm not hating on that, if you're making money, you're making money, but that's not really the same scenario for people. Like, for instance, people that just buy options that, they can wait till it, they buy options with like a long time out and they can just hold it extremely red and then it'll go green. Some people, don't have the liberty of being able to risk that much. So I think Smart Money Concepts is better overall for learning how to become a trader. And, once your funds grow or once you can get a funded account, then you kind of have unparalleled precision, because most people that trade with a lot of money don't really have that much precision, but they're still able to make a lot of money, which is totally okay. But that, like I said, that's not a reality for everybody. So I think it's really good to learn how to trade with price action, and it gives you a better understanding of what's going on. Now, one thing I will say, and a piece of advice is, don't get sucked into the narrative that this is the only way and this is going to be right every single time, or that you have to understand like the algorithm and all this, because what that'll do is it just puts a lot of pressure on you psychologically, where you feel like you have to be right all the time, and you'll start making mistakes because, you'll be ashamed to be wrong because you feel like you've cracked the Da Vinci Code, and you can't be wrong now. And that's a really big problem that I do see with Smart Money Concepts. And then it doesn't help whenever you have people that post nothing but hindsight TA, that a lot of them didn't even trade off of, and then it makes you like, damn, why didn't I see that? And there's just a lot of psychological stresses that can come with learning Smart Money Concepts. So just be mindful of that as you learn. That would be my biggest advice. Your thought of taking 2R and walking away for the day really stuck with me. Yeah, I mean, I like it, man. I really do. Sometimes, like you kind of got to be aware of where you're at. Like, for instance, if it's a super high probability setup and it's got a lot of room to run, there are some times where you can kind of cheat yourself, to be dead honest. But, I mean, the way I look at it, if you can get 3R in a week, like I'm sorry, 3 2R trades, 6R in a week, that's a beautiful fucking week. That is an absolutely beautiful week. I mean, hell, if you're on a funded and you're risking 1%, that could be your month. So, again, there's always the allure of min-maxing everything to where because everybody that gets funded, they're like, oh, dude, I'm gonna make like $30,000 a month. You know what I mean? And you might, but you shouldn't like shoot for that and make that your requirement, because then you're just gonna be running uphill, kind of drowning yourself along the way. When you can just set, once you get 2R consistently all the time and you see your trades always running 3R, maybe start upping it to 3R. And once you have some data that suggests to do that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with just a fixed 2R, hitting it, intraday a couple times. Like, for instance, Monday, I hit 2R really quick. Yesterday on the NASDAQ, I trimmed it too early. It was a paper trade as far as the second half of it. I don't want to, this was a fixed 2R for me, like my live. But then I looked at it, and this was example, whenever I was saying, oh, you can kind of cheat yourself, this is kind of what I was talking about. And I was late on this. Like, I didn't get back home. Like, the fucking Pico entry it was the PM model. Here's your raid. Here was your shift. This was really clean. Right there. That was the entry down here. But I looked at this, and whenever I see this kind of second expansion, because if we look at it like, some people could probably map this out as a lot of different models, but once I see that desire to go up higher, and when I'm looking at the market, I was kind of scared to take this one, to be honest, but when I look at the market and I see, okay, like, here's the last bit of liquidity, obviously I'm not going to put my stop loss down here, right? So I was like, is there any way for me to have a higher stop loss? What's a recent swing low? And I look and I said, okay, this if we go lower than this, then where are we going? Why would this stop it? Or that, if you go lower than this, you're probably going for all these lows. So you might as well set your stop loss there. So I did that, and I kind of just marketed on this candle, and I just, I fixed 2R. I was kind of like, saying, oh, okay, it's going to reverse here. But in my head, I looked back and I was like, no, it's not. It's not. There's the daily draw was where it reversed, which was these equal highs. I kind of looked back and was like, damn, I could have just held it to the time. And look at this. Like, look at how, I mean, I don't even know if you would have got a fill, but look at that. And that was when those earnings came out. And that would have been, that's why I mapped it out afterward, just to kind of visualize it. That would have been pretty crazy. Who knows if you even got filled. You know, you might have hit this and then been like, hell yeah, by the time you get to MetaTrader, you're back down to lower than where I closed. But that's an example of sometimes you can kind of cheat yourself a little bit whenever you're doing the fixed 2R. Because when I look back, I was like, man, if you would have just looked at that, you would have known that's going to the buy side. I mean, that's the daily draw on liquidity. Yeah, you said, I often played around with aiming for higher R since my base capital was low, but with a funded account, that logic no longer holds. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, really, when you think about it, it's kind of really doesn't hold with the lower size accounts either, but people just want to see big money. But if you know, because if you're looking at it from just, you know, overall growth, if you get, let's say you have like, you take 9, or let's say you take 12 trades a month and you have a 50% win rate. So you've got, that's 12R minus 6R. So you'd have a 6R month, right? Just taking 12, and that's a good ass month. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to pass you a funded account, but if you're just growing an account, 6R at the end of the month, like being up 6R, I mean, it's not like a home run month, but it's definitely something to be proud of, you know? So you said SMT NQ, or what is SMT NQ? So it's basically whenever we look at market structure among indices or any assets that move in correlation, like for instance, we have the S&P and the NASDAQ, you know, if this makes a lower high, but this makes a higher high, we can look at this, that it's highly probable that it's a stop rate, that this push up on above the highs was just stopping out shorts and was also inducing buyers above this level. So you can look at it with other confluences, like how we took our previous daily high, which was right here as well. And we're high up in a premium of the 1 hour range. We're technically in a premium of the daily range. So sells automatically are a little bit more, you know, you're leaning more towards that side. You know, longs are less probable. Not to say that either will work or won't work, but, you know, we look at it in probabilities. That's kind of how I try to look at it. Seems like it wants to come down a little bit here. Nothing for me unless we get a liquidity rate after 130. And it doesn't have to be the high here. It can just be any of these highs. It'd be nice if we would come down, react somewhere either in this order block or right here. That'd be awesome if we could just take liquidity there, but we'll see if it happens or not. Are 41 mentorship ICT videos enough, sir, or other month contents? I mean, only you can answer that question. Like, are you profitable? You know, are you consistently profitable? Then you probably have watched enough. And if you're not, then maybe keep watching and, you know, paper trade and use your demo and kind of just try to learn as much as possible. So he said, what's special on Monday that people use its range for trading? I think it's an old ICT thing, if I'm not mistaken. I don't do it, to be honest, but it's just kind of like the opening range of the week, because if we are looking at the weekly power of 3, oftentimes Monday is just accumulation, not manipulation. Monday is just accumulation. That's why if we look at the weekly power of 3, we look for accumulation early in the week and then a manipulation into Tuesday and Wednesday, and then you'll see the true move. So people kind of use those ranges and those highs and lows as, you know, if we're above that and it's, you know, your weekly bias is bearish, then anywhere up in that area, if you're looking to swing the trade through the week, you're looking at a, you know, I guess a premium entry, so to speak. And vice versa. If you're looking at a bullish week and you're below Monday's low, then you could say, okay, we might be in the manipulation phase. A position size on trading view would be a good idea. I know, right? Fuck, we need to finish that shit up. I keep lacking. That's really it. Let's look at Euro. Euro's been pretty nice lately. It came up above these highs here. I'm just gonna clean this whole chart. See, I'm bad at that. I probably just deleted a bunch of bunch of stuff, but it's all right. So came up here and came above these highs and above this high. Oh, another thing we'll go over is DXY. We'll do that first, actually. DXY, we talked about this early in the week. So DXY analysis playing out perfectly. We're right on almost that weekly order block, but I think we could take these lows. I would really like that. That's the point where you start looking at potential, higher probability for the market to start, maybe reversing. We have to see structure tell us it wants to do that. But whenever we see this price that's come down under these lows, we're in the weekly order block almost. We're not there yet, but we're almost there. We know that price has moved very aggressively into this area. So we'll kind of see how we react here because it could be just a manipulation push down. I think that might align also with the weekly power of 3 and, overall Bitcoin's in the place where we've been talking about for a long time now, where we want to maybe short it from. Like I told you guys with ETH, we're at this weekly order block. ES is now technically at a discount, although I will say maybe could see some more upside. NQ really didn't come up too far. YM, on the other hand, which is the Dow, has came all the way up here. So now we're getting these areas where stuff might, you might want to see some sells. And then we look at DXY. Okay, well, it looks like, if we come under here and start to reverse, or really start to reverse anywhere here, we're in a discount. We've taken out liquidity. So we know that we have relatively equal highs here, right? So you guys can see how I'm starting to kind of build this narrative. It's back to Euro now. Yes, I feel like I don't feel super sick, but my nose is like, my sinuses are so stopped up. I don't think it's just allergies either. Came above a lot of highs here. A lot of shorts have been stopped out in this process. I'm going to 4 hour. I don't really use it as much, but okay, there we go. Look at that. Nice 4 hour order block we just traded into. So here what I'd like to see overall is got this 4 hour order block we've traded into. Daily buy side inside the range has been taken. Price hasn't really been indicative that it wants to go down, but this is also another setup that I want to watch. And if we start to get reversals here, again, this goes against the dollar. So if we start to see reversals on the dollar, we start to see reversals on Euro, we start to see reversals on ETH, Bitcoin, indices, that's where we might, start to look at things and get potential shorts. Excuse me. What's up? That's graduate. Time for Bitcoin to go to $1 billion with Do Kwon at the helm. How's Luna Classic doing? It's crazy though. Some of these alts look like they want to run, but I don't know. I feel like some of them, their charts are they're just not. It's not gonna happen. We'll see. I like this XMR setup. Ooh, Matic. Okay, Matic. I want it to come a little higher. I don't like that. We got those equal highs just in front of the zone. I'm actually going to set an alarm for that. I don't know if we'll get it. We'll see, but this is another nice setup that I would like to potentially get involved with. Maybe if we come down, just raid this low, push back up, and then start to get that price action. But I like this BPR here. So we have this zone of kind of two imbalances. So the buy side had been offered and the sell side has been offered. Now this imbalance, the second we hadn't offered the buy side, which still has it in my opinion. So if we can get back up into that, we could look for potential shorts down, at least in this fair value gap, or maybe even lower. Soul is just dead. What confuses me is the premium equilibrium discount, which are always different in 4 hours, 1 hour, and so on. I think 1 hour and 4 hour are the best. So they are different in all time frames, but you're looking at price in different perspectives, kind of building your analysis from the top down. So for instance, if price is in a daily premium, right, which I'm drawing it from here. I know a lot of people, this is the weekly range to me. Now we might go up in that, but I just like this because that was the last area of clear institutional involvement. We tapped this order block, CPI day, September. So, if we are in a premium on a daily chart, or a premium on a 1 hour chart, you see what I mean? That's how you kind of layer that through, because you're going to have different ranges, but you want to use them together. How do I trade the London and New York session merge? That's where I'm looking for indice trades. So I'm looking for liquidity raids after the open, the 8:30 open. We actually have a whole class on that in the private Discord. I think we did it 2 or 3 weeks ago. But on that note, guys, I'm going to hop off here. I appreciate you all coming through. I did want to recap that loss with you guys just to, be transparent. I think that a lot of people aren't transparent, so I kind of want to set a good example for that. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow at noon. And then after that, Friday at noon as well. And then this weekend, we'll have the private class again for all the members of Playbit. If you want to get a free trial, you can hop in to the description and then just sign up there. But use code Casper in all caps so you get the free trial. And if you do, at me when you get in the server and say what's up. But until then, I will see you guys later. Peace.